I love this question. AI in automotive, is that overhyped or underused?
I think both. I think we're overhyping it a lot of times, right? By saying it's the solution to all of our problems, right? But I think the reason why AI has a place is because we haven't done a lot of the work and the process the right way, which allows AI to do it better, right? If we
Mhm.
answered every phone call and lead when it came in within 10 seconds and had a great conversation that was very personal with these people, um, I think we wouldn't need AI as much, right? But from
Mhm.
a profitability standpoint, it's much easier to put an AI bot at the front of it and handle that from the beginning because our people aren't always prepared for it. But when you look at it from a how much we spend, like we said, 1% of people are converting right now.
What's up, Cage community? Welcome back to another episode of Driven by Intelligence. And so today I'm sitting down with a brother that who knows not only of being in the trenches in the automotive industry for the last couple decades, even though he doesn't look like it, but has consistently stayed ahead of the curve. Now, Cody is not just a vendor partner, he's a visionary. He's the founder of Jive Media, a family-owned powerhouse that's literally flipping the scripts on how dealerships think about branding, video, and digital experience. So you can understand why I love having conversations with them. From next level website video tools that actually convert to something new, dealer incentives, a brand new way to automate incentives with speed and style, and then to personalized customer experiences driven by real data. So this is not a theory that we're going to talk about. This is what the future of automotive looks like. And he's not just talking about it, he literally is building it. So if you're a dealer, watching this, GM, internet director, sales, anyone who's looking to win online without losing your identity, this is the place that you want to be. So we're going to jump into it. Cody, welcome back to the show. A little
Yeah,
bit different than last time. You like that?
100%. You're
All
correct.
right. Get us all fired up. So hopefully we hit some of the points. If any of that was like,
Yep.
wait a second, then we can obviously edit that. But thank you for being here, sharing your time, energy, and wisdom. And I really do believe what I was talking about when you and I have conversations behind the scenes that nobody's talking about. We both have this same mission of seeing this industry evolve and getting to new places and us being able to say we played a part in that. So
Yep.
go ahead and introduce yourself, let everybody know a little bit about who you are, your background, and then we'll get into our today's conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, appreciate the introduction and the opportunity. I mean, like you said, I think both like-minded want to bring value and help move this industry forward. I think there's a ton of opportunities right now with what we're seeing with technology where it's at right now. Video, I think we both have a fundamental belief that video is a huge opportunity in our space right now.
Yeah.
Personalization has been a huge play for me of what I've seen for the next progression of our industry is personalization based on the user data that we have. We're just kind of catching up from the content side for that right now. And dealer incentives, what we're working on that side of just really helping dealerships be efficient with streamlining their incentives across their entire ecosystem. No more waiting days to go to market. No more having three people along the chain to slow down the execution delivery of your incentives and go to market strategy. So those have been kind of the core pillars of what we've been working on. But appreciate the time and happy to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into since our last conversation, it might have been about a year or so, but coming into 2025. So I always say this on the show, but as of right now, we're recording this in April of 2025, just to give some context. So 2025 has been an interesting ride.
Yep.
With we come in with a new president. We've got the tariff talks that have been going on. Concern affordability at this point in the market is still a big concern, but we're seeing dealerships come off of some of the best months that they've had, especially last month in March, in years, like pre-2020. So I know you have lots of conversations with dealers too. What are you seeing that's happening in the marketplace, and what's happened this year in your world, what you've been seeing going on?
I mean, a lot of pivoting, right? I mean, you look from a vendor standpoint right now, and I think people are still kind of working through the hangover from COVID from a vendor standpoint, right? A lot of eliminating of, waste and making sure things are playing well together. I think that's been a really big pivot. You're seeing a lot of CDPs and a lot of connected data talks about like, reactivating audiences, having the right message to the right audience, right time, personalization. I mean, those have been kind of the biggest things that I've been personally involved with from the strategy side with the dealerships. It's been mostly on vendor pivoting.
Yeah, no, I've seen that as well because I think we talk about affordability. I say this a lot. We talk about consumer affordability and hey, we got to be cautious and be careful with what we're saying to our customers and cater to them. But what I've noticed as well, when there's consumer affordability, there's also dealer affordability, meaning they're looking at vendors and they're looking at their partners and saying, hey, even if they trust you and love you, they're looking at it like, what are you doing now to help us solve some of the biggest problems that we have? And I think that's where video has been so impactful for both of us, both on our personal brands, but then also what it's done to dealership brands, which are even more important. So, talk to me about one of these areas, which is video, that to me is probably the least expensive, the least investment any store needs that has the biggest impact. But with video, what are you seeing that has been impactful? What's been working? And then here in a little bit, we'll actually have you showcase some of that. But talk to us a little bit about video.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think differentiation, right? I mean, you look at a lot of these website platforms, you look at how we're driving consumers into the market with the adoption of VLAs and driving people further into the ecosystem on a website to SRPs and VDPs for their first experience. I mean, they're not getting the brand stories. They're not getting a reason to buy from you. And if everything's based on price, what's the reason why they should do business with you? Right. So when you look from a
Mm,
standpoint of being able to not only explain why you're the right dealership, but to showcase the product. I think we forget a lot of times that people aren't going through tier one, tier two, and tier three levels before they engage with your brand. That we need to bring some of that excitement into the tier three level to showcase the vehicle, the features, the lifestyle, all
yeah.
that stuff I forgot about. We show them a catalog of inventory with prices and wonder why the only reason why they're contacting us is for the lowest price, right? Like I think that we're setting ourselves up for that, right? So I think that's a huge opportunity for video to introduce yourself. And then I think based on what we know about a consumer's pathway to our dealership, if they're coming from 2 hours away, we talk about reading the lead from the CRM side. How about reading the visit from the beginning, right?
Mm,
If you're coming away from 2 hours, I can roll out the red carpet for you specifically coming from that area where I know I have a competitive advantage against that dealership compared to somebody that's in my backyard that I've done business with 4 times. Those are completely different customers, but I can have a personalized experience. Video is a great opportunity to either educate that consumer on how and why to do business with me. And especially from a website side, we have so many different vendors and mechanisms and tools built into it. How to use those, why to use those, right? When to use those. That's where video comes in to explain that instead of expecting somebody to understand why I have 5 CTAs, on every one of my vehicle details. You know, that's where I see video being an absolute game changer for dealers.
yeah, I apologize. It's just like I started laughing. I'll turn my buzz off, but I laughed not because of the buzz. I laughed because of the CTAs, right? We have this conversation all the time about, reserve today, buy now, best price, start my deal, value. It's all these different things. And when you look at the top sites, it typically comes down to one thing that they point you to. But to have a video that really would explain what's going on here when you're on these pages of the website, I think is probably one of the biggest game changers. And so one thing that we both know is that the experiences change once we integrate video into the process. So, real example, real data. We put video into after hours or to an initial greeting video or a why buy video within the CRM, and the response rate, the engagement rate in terms of the click through rate, even people ending up on the website typically goes up by 10-20% minimum just by having that in there that's brought with some energy and it's done professionally. And now we're seeing it with AI, like doing AI videos doing this.
Yep.
But talk to me a little bit about the website, about having the video on the website where their customers can learn, get educated, to your point, having a different experience. What have you seen in terms of lift on site or data with having the video portion on the SRPs and the VDP pages.
Yeah, I mean the engagement for sure, right? Time on site and them having a clear pathway to the next action, right? I think a lot of times we let somebody have like, let's just look at the navigation as a whole, right?
Yeah.
You have a dealership, you have 47 different doors to enter into when they first come out of in, right? Which
Right.
one takes me there, right? You have somebody, there's a reason why you have a receptionist at the front to ask a question and then direct you down a specific pathway, right? We don't do that digitally. You're starting to see a lot of these either OEMs that are starting to dictate reduction of CTAs or very clear defined CTAs, reducing pop-ups for that reason that they're not getting confused. But you look from a navigation standpoint the same way of we've got every option from every page from every consumer to go anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So video allows us that opportunity to streamline and set up a user journey that then we can look at and say, hey, Duran came into this page. I knew something about him when he first searched. And then to create that user journey and understand, are we getting them to the next step? Are they falling off? And if they're falling off at step 2 or step 3, how do I interject and add something to that experience that's going to allow me to help support him? And then let's say right now you got to step 2, that's where remarketing comes in to say, hey, you stopped here. I understand that. Let me bring you back into where you left off, not take you back to the showroom, ask the receptionist, and then guide you down the same path I already created. So that's where I see video as really being that supporting arm from first visit, welcoming, guiding them through the website experience, then also bringing them back in to be able to give them a reason and purpose to continue that journey.
And Cody speaking my dream, y'all. Just so you know, because the dream, the vision that I'm sure he's had and that I've had, and so many of you listening to this have had, is like imagine a transparent, clean video experience from beginning all the way to the next time they buy again. Not
Yeah.
just them buying a car. So sometimes dealers were doing video walkarounds to get them to buy, but imagine the video at your virtual showroom, just like the greeting that you talked about from a receptionist,
Yeah.
a greeting video that's there, the video that's thanking them after they've had one of the most vulnerable moments in their life, which is giving their social date of birth or whatever kind of information in the dealership's website, to a video that's letting them know that it's okay, we got your back, and then a video that's making it easy for them to make an informed decision to after they buy it. Now they have another video that's talking about next steps to service and video campaigns, happy birthday. It's a 365 of video, and the OEMs, the call. So before Cody and I got on this call, I had a coaching call, and what I'm finding out is more OEMs are partnering with AI companies for chat on their website because they know, I guess they have the data that shows that human chats are not doing as well as the AI company chats. But I think the next evolution of video and OEMs is going to be the OEMs will step in and be like, "Hey, we really want you to have more content because this is what customers are saying they want." But right now, we're still in this window. For those of you watching and listening, you have the biggest opportunity in the world by having a 365-day view of having videos helping your customers throughout the beginning to the end. So I'd like for you, Cody, to share examples so people can see like, okay, if I want to put video on my website, what are some examples of what I can do and what does the placement look like? Because I know that's what I'd be thinking if I'm a dealer right now is, okay, this sounds great, guys, but talk to me about where do I start with video? So I'm gonna give you the access to go ahead and share on your side, and then we'll go ahead and get into it.
Yep. No,
All right.
appreciate that. So, I mean, I think kind of going back to what we talked about before of where people's first engagements are with the brand or with the dealership, how do we build that from step 1?
Mhm.
When you look at it right now, this is a Honda dealership out in South Carolina. Dealership principal is very involved with their brand, face of it, voice of it. They've got some other events that they're running with like the $10,000 test drive. They also have the run my lease CTA with unlock today's price, right? So just like a lot of stores right now, I think it's a very active CTA, especially as we talk about price and affordability. So we have these tools on our website, but why and how to use them, right? So this is an example of inline banners. With this is a Dealer Inspire website. So one of the main things that they've rolled out is these inline banners. They're also conditional, so you can define what banners are showing up on what pages and to what consumers. So like I was saying before, somebody coming in from 200 miles away might get a different message about how to do business remotely with us, how we're going to do video walkarounds for you. How can we make this a seamless experience versus somebody that's in market is going to be much more of a stop in. You already know our brand. You've seen our ads. We can have different video content to help explain that. But this is just a couple examples of them promoting these couple events right now, or these couple kind of call to actions that are built into the shopping experience, not take them away to a separate landing page, learn more about the program. You're not taking them away from inventory. You're selling and building value as they're shopping instead of removing them from it and hoping they come back. So this is one example from that side of inline video banners. Here's an example of a VDP. This is when they're on the VDP, same thing, introduction to dealership, how and why to do business with us. Just that general first kind of greeting to the store. They're in more of a rural area, so a lot of their customers are trying to pull in from more metro areas around them. So you need to have a compelling story. If we have less inventory and not, we aren't the price leader in the market, what's one reason why somebody's going to come drive an hour out of their way to do business with you? We need to tell a story. We need to give them value, right?
Yes.
So I think that's the main things that video can really help support us with on that side, is telling them that we're going to take care of them, that we're going to put them first. And I think it's really easy a lot of times for us to tell those stories of like why we're different. And we all have that very, cookie cutter reason why somebody should do business with us, but we have to, actually do the work then, right? So I think one of the things with video is we can set up that expectation and then we can actually knock the cover off the ball and deliver it versus just saying, hey, we're family owned or we do a great job. Customers always first, right? So these are some doing video from that side. And then these would be examples like we were talking about of those. Now somebody's taken action based on a CTA. So if we look back on their website right here, they've got unlock my best price, explore payments. I have a question and calculate my payments are their CTAs. So based on anything that they engage with from the VDP level, or even from the I got approved for financing, submitted financing, before or after hours, each one of these is an opportunity for us to thank them for the opportunity. Reassure them, like you said, vulnerable position. They've just given us their information. Now they're sitting on their hands for how many hours waiting for us, hopefully to get back to them with some answers. This is one of those moments that we get to build value, reassure them that they're making a great decision on either the vehicle that they're considering, the fact that they're doing business with us. One of our team members will be back to them first thing in the morning. But every one of our call to actions, like we talked about, that customer journey gives us an opportunity to help push them into the next piece of that process. So if they're saying right now it's 8:00 at night, we're not going to get back to till 10 in the morning, and they've just submitted a vehicle inquiry, right? Maybe it makes sense for us to get a trade appraisal. Maybe if they've done the trade appraisal, it makes sense for us to do a pre-qualification, for this customer. What is the next thing we want them to consider while they're waiting? And rest assured that we are working on, what you've inquired about. So these are really great ways to apply video from a post engagement standpoint. And then here's a couple sides of just, we talked about the vehicle itself, right? So we've talked mostly so far about the process and about the experience side of it, building value in the dealership. But now you look at building value in the product, right? So a lot of time catalogs right now, this is a Mercedes store that we're looking at where it's all about that same luxury feel. It's about lifestyle. It's the same stuff that they're used to seeing from the tier 1 level. How do we build that into the shopping experience for tier 3 as well? So we're doing kind of a combination here of showcasing the features of the vehicle as well as a current incentive on this. So with Mercedes, we're running, just the national offers, but all compliant. We have the disclaimers built in. It's got the dealerships branded into it, but it's building those. Hey, that's a cool look. That's a exciting vehicle. It's the excitement about buying this vehicle, that we want to be able to build. And then here's a Honda store that's just going through kind of that upsell experience. So a lot of times when we drive somebody into the website, right, if you think about what we've done in the past for upselling somebody, we bring them in on a price leader. Hey, we've got LXs available. And then we talk them into the EXL or in the touring level. Or you look at CRVs where they now have all their higher trim levels or hybrids, where most people might not be looking for hybrids. That's just what they need now. We need to tell them what features are available. If you're a lease heavy store, we get to tell that story with incremental payments. So you can now say, hey, Duran, you're considering the LX. Well, I could step you back into the highest trim level HRV, or I could
Mhm.
up into the leather interior, the better entertainment system, the better rims with an EXL, or hey, you want the moonroof or you want the better engine, right? Here's how we build value in those vehicles versus just saying, hey, hopefully they'll go to page 4 and find that vehicle. We're giving them a reason and purpose to go further into their research journey instead of going back to the overview page, learning more about the features and then going into those vehicles.
Dude, I mean, and I'm gonna bring it back for a second, just to because I've got some notes. So let's hold on, let me come on back. There we go. All right. So that was so much to impact. And we hadn't even got to me asking you questions about the incentives part, because most people, after seeing that, should be like mind blown with ideas of how can we create some kind of video experience on our website. But the biggest nugget that I want to really press in on that Cody mentioned that's in my notes he's talking about telling your customers the story. Like, what's the story about your store, and the different kind of content that you can put there. And so what I thought of was earlier today when I was on a call with a group of leaders, and we talked about our video strategy online. And some of us, we fall into this category, and I've done this as well, where we make videos about what we want, but we're not making the videos about what the customer really cares about. That's a problem. Like, so an example of a video of what we want is, hey, if you click this button right here, we'll go ahead and set you up for an appointment so you can come on in here and buy this car. That's what we want. We all want more appointments. We want more customers in our showroom or more deliveries. That's what we want. But before we get what we want, there needs to be either a story or a testimonial. But earlier today, I asked the question, I said, what are the most common questions that most customers ask your team before they'll come in? Like, what are they? And we went around and we found out that most customers want to find out if it's available. Other customers want to find out, can they afford it? And then sometimes they might have a question of more specific features about that actual vehicle or their trade-in, something about what they have. So then the next follow-up question is then, what is our content doing to answer those questions? I said, so some of our video content needs to be frequently asked questions, and we could answer them in less than 45 seconds. Hey, you want to know if it's available? Here at our store, we're not going to lie to you and tell you that every single vehicle's here. But what we will do for you is we're going to make sure that my team gets their hands on the vehicle and confirms the details of what you're trying to accomplish. All right. Another one. Oh, you're concerned about if affordability is a concern. Here's what we do for you. We have a finance app. We have a specialist, a finance specialist. But that's what I get excited. Like, I'm hearing you talk. I'm thinking about video testimonials where customers that maybe they're subprime, they had challenge credit, and they're on the finance app page talking about they were concerned about their financing, but your store made it easy. But this is where dealers should get so fired up, and marketers too, because what Cody just showed about the videos on the website and what they can do, to me, is kind of how dealers used to be 20, 30 years ago about their video strategy on TV. Like, some dealers were really proactive. I think about the guy with the mascot was the Badger. Like, there was so many creative content. And so if we can keep those creative content juices flowing and bring that to the website, that's where dealers can win. Because you're talking about, I'm sure, Cody, you know this better than I would because I'm not on those kind of calls. But think about the thousands and thousands of visitors that are going to their website every single day, or excuse
Yep.
me, every single month, maybe daily. But a lot of stores, when you think about the thousands of people that come to their online showroom and getting an experience like this versus the hundreds that might come on their lot, I'd imagine that what could be done with that would be mind blowing. So, didn't mean to get off on a tangent, but I get all fired up. And then we'll go ahead and Cody, I'll let you can say what you want, and then we can get into the dealer incentives piece, because I feel like they kind of go hand in hand, right? You've got the video
I think
creating transparency, and then you've got your dealer incentives that's really doubling down on that and helping the customers save as much, or at least showcasing what they have available to them without them having to go from all these different websites.
Yep. And I think the biggest thing that you hit on was trust, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's how can I continuously build trust? And I think when we talked about before of like the number of visits that somebody has back, this isn't a one-time visit. They decide to do business with us, right? Somebody might be coming back to our website day in and out, right? Multiple times a day for a 3-week period, looking at inventory, and if you think about the VDPs and the SRPs, that's where they're doing most of that research and spending the most amount of that time. So instead of us having the same content on those, let's look at our library of resources. Let's understand what they've done before and predict what their next journey is going to be or where they're moving towards. And we look at kind of that pathway that we've created, we can understand what the next interaction is going to be. And when you look at CDPs and kind of this, unified data view that we have with CRMs of understanding that, we can dictate the next link we give them back to the inventory, and we can showcase different stories once they get there. So if you think about from the VDP side, when we looked at that one little video that we had there, that could be just a placeholder that has 15, 20, 30 different variations of that content. So as they go through different VDPs, they've now got 15 different reasons of why and how to do business with us, not the same thing, right? So that's where and then we talked about before, I think bilingual is one of the things that we've spoke about that's always been kind of a challenge, right? We've always said, hey, you speak another language, you go to this page over here, and then you'll know a phone number and get this very diluted experience on why and how to do business with us. And I think one of the easiest thing we can do to pull market share and to start having a better experience is by creating a personalized experience that speaks in their language, that gives them clear direction on why and how to do business, but speaking directly to that person inside of our store or people within our store that can help facilitate that, right? I think we both agreed that the CRM process has always been a challenge. There's not even a toggle inside of it to say language preference. So we're constantly drilling them back into like, hey, go to the receptionist and they say hello, right? Like there's a better process there to be had, right? So
man, this is good. Well, let's hop into show us, because this is exciting, because this is extremely new as well. Both of these are, but with dealer centers, this has been my GMs, leaders, and even salespeople too. One of the most frustrating things is keeping up with incentives, keeping up with the money, and answering questions with that old infamous "I don't know." So let's go into it. I'll share your view, and then I think this will be really cool. And then I'll ask some questions afterwards.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're a creative agency for the last 20 years, right? So one of the biggest headaches that we've had, just like dealerships, has been first of the month, time to roll out incentives. They're changing all the time. How do we keep up with them? Outdated incentives and all these different placements. The time and delay between execution has been a huge burden in our space, right? So what we've set out to do with dealer incentives is streamline that process and give dealerships very easy access to be able to deploy and create these offers. So this is our current dashboard right now that you're seeing with all of their published offers. For them to create a new offer, just hit add incentive. You can look at all their current inventory. We pull in all their inventory. You can see here, it already has all their lease payments, loan payments, discounts already pre-calculated inside of here based on whatever the dealership's preferences are, term, lenders, Beacon, whatever they want on that side. We pre-calculate all these offers inside of here. So for them to create a couple offers, let's just check a couple boxes here, create incentive. So within, let's say minutes instead of days for a go-to-market strategy at this point, typically it's what? I mean, you see some of these stores where it's literally 10 days before they have updated offers, right?
Yep.
So we hit that one checkbox, we publish, and now we've created our offers, right? So this is what we're generating after that. So we take that data and then we actually create the visual offers for all those sizes. So you're going to see here, we have our social media, we have our Google Display Network, we have our homepage, SRP. If you have a showroom TV or you're doing YouTube ads, inline banners, all of those are created, and they're created for every one of those vehicles that we just did. So now you have offers for every single one of those. Now remember, these are VIN specific too, right? So it's about when we have an aged vehicle that we're pushing out there, we're not doing price leaders and then having to have those conversations internally. We're driving traffic specifically to those vehicles. So every one of these offers now, when we're pushing them out onto the website or into the display network, is going to that specific trim level vehicle color on the VDP of that dealer's website. So when we look at right now, there's a few platforms out there that will create these assets for you. But then at that point, we need to execute and we need to share them with our other vendors, and we need to download them, and the delay of those other reasons as well. Right? So what we do is we've created all these versions and then we actually syndicate them for you. So this is a live view into a Dealer Inspire website. This is going to be the homepage rotator, which again is a static experience, right? These images are static images, but with our technology, we actually will dynamically fetch the URLs. So when you go and change that static image on a homepage rotator, you don't need to do anything. It automatically changes it and links to that vehicle's VDP. Same thing, SRP header, all your inline banners, your display network. That's what we're looking at right here. So direct feed into your Google display network. You don't touch anything. You click that one button from our last platform, and you are frontlining the specific vehicles across your entire marketing efforts in real time. We also have a VDP enhancement. So every one of your vehicles on your website right now, if you want to run purchase, lease, or rates for those vehicles, it's one toggle from the back end of our dashboard, but everything is VIN specific. So now every one of your vehicles on your website will have the same consistent offer from Google search, social, email into your VDP and SRP. So no more of this disjointed, hey, I saw $199 lease payment in a Google search ad. I came into your website, you're running, let's say, a Cap One tool that has a different, term or rate or whatever it might be. And now it's $150 more. And like we talked about before with video, it's all about trust. That's really not a great trust building exercise to do that, right? So every one of your vehicles on your website will have consistent offers already done automatically across your entire ecosystem, new and used. Your lease special pages are automatically updated with that one click. All of your finance special pages, wherever you guys want content built into your website experience. If you guys have model overview pages that you've created that are rock solid, we will just simply put a short code inside of those pages that will allow you to show your pilot offers when they're already looking at your pilot content. So wherever you have content, wherever people are viewing stuff, we are streamlining, at least giving you the option to have incentives there. And then this would be a email side. So we look at that consistency right now. We created these offers, like we talked about the execution side, the way our system is set up, we can put static links for our images inside of your CRM system or inside of your email provider. We can give them these links to these images. And when you guys change your images from your dashboard or your offers from your dashboard, they will automatically change these offers in your emails. So no more are you like, okay, I need to get an email out. It's already built as a template inside of your VIN solutions or eLeads, your CRM. You literally just need to go push go on our audience we want to target, and they will have the most updated email offers built into it. And if you guys send an offer out at the end of the month and they don't open it until the 5th of next month, they're getting this month's offers, not last month's outdated incentives. So those are a couple different things that we're doing, landing pages, just everywhere that you guys have incentives. We're building those and then syndicating the data. So we don't run ads. We're not an advertising agency. We're simply a technology company that provides you with the resources. And then we will work with your existing paid search, social media, email vendor to give them the resources to be more efficient on your behalf and have consistent marketing efforts across your entire ecosystem.
Dude, like I'm sitting here thinking, well, again, perfect world again, getting back to me getting excited from the notes that I have from that is what I would challenge a leader or a listener to do, or both, is comparing what I wrote down. Is like, imagine pairing this, dealer incentives with video and then running that in hyper targeted campaigns as well. So that's where I'm talking about personalization at scale. So you get somebody on that new car, they had this experience on the website. The team maybe doesn't connect with them because the customer just wasn't ready yet. They're still in the research phase. But then they get campaign or they see something later on in a week or that day that has those offers available to it. The incentives, the same thing. And then to your point, what blew my mind, Cody, was when you talked about how they can come back. It can be a month later, 2 months later, and they're seeing the consistency in the branding, and it's easy to find. And in a time of affordability, that being so important still, having this is complete leverage, not just for your premium buyers, but all the way down to somebody that, could be a subprime buyer just wanting to know, what's a good deal, what offers are available out there. And it goes back to that old saying that I know most dealers listening to this, we all know the more offers that we make, the more opportunities where we're showcasing what's in it for the customer, the more vehicles that we're probably going to sell. So it's showcasing experience, showcasing incentives, showcasing all these transparency things. And it's amazing what can be created. So I like the visual, but what's crazy to me is how simple, like, and how fast everything could be because I can only imagine what that would have been like if I had access to that on my website 10, 15 years ago when I was at a store because it was painful. You had to get with your ad agency. I know people are listening. You go to the ad agency, here's what we got going on. Here's the new incentives that have come out. We can do this on this model. No, you cannot do it for the SC. It's only for this, it's like all these
By the
different
time somebody comes in, it's sold, right? And then all of a sudden, it's not that the vehicle wasn't available. It's that now all of a sudden, again, we're not building trust because it did actually sell. So the idea of all of this being a liquid situation, inventory that you need to move in real time is being marketed to these customers through all your channels.
Mhm.
I think it just creates a great solution for sure.
So, a question that I have for you then is how does because I'm thinking I'm always trying to think as a dealer, as a general manager or owner listening to this. When you think about a dealer's current brand strategy and what they're all about, and then leveraging either video, dealer incentives, or both, what's your advice on that to make sure that this matches who that store is? Because every store that and we talk a lot. Every store is kind of unique to their own brand, their culture, and their personalization. So, talk to us about branding and how a dealership can use this to really double down on creating that ownership loyalty that I think most people are looking for.
Yeah, I think consistency is a huge part of that, right? I mean, if that's just us telling the story that, hey, we're established, we're not going anywhere, build
Mhm.
value in that shopping experience like you were talking about. The incentives are a part of that, right? I think a lot of stores, if you're talking about Highline, it's not about price a lot of time, right? It's about the product. And the more we can use video to showcase that from the beginning all the way through, that it is that luxury experience, it is that luxury product and you're getting white gloved all the way through the finish line. I mean, that's where I think video also for those stores, instead of it being about price, is definitely about the experience and the value.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I like one thing that stuck out to me that you said was consistency. And I think that is where a missing part can be, where we're talking brand, then we're talking incentives, then we're talking this, or then maybe we neglect to even talk about incentives, or maybe the look. Sometimes I'll see these banner ads that are on the store's websites, and it doesn't even connect with everything else that store has going on. So, um, that's the reason why I wanted to ask that question. So one more question before we get into the last part, which is a little gauntlet of questions I have, is when you think about all the websites that you've seen. So a general manager, I'm always going back to the one thing. What is the one thing that every GM, if it came down to it, after watching this, what's the one thing that they all should focus on in their website today? Like they should probably change this if it's broken or if it's not there. What would you say?
I mean, incentives are a huge piece of that. Rarely they're updated, and if they are, they're not in the right places, right? So I would say incentives are a huge piece of it. But I mean, you look at the core pages on a website, the About Us page, the community involvement, the finance page. I mean, majority of these pieces of content that are engaged with kind of the low funnel buying process are neglected. They don't tell a story. They're very much the same cookie cutter stuff that the website provider pushed out since the beginning, right? So I think going through the customer's journey and experience from start to finish as a new set of eyes for that would be what I would start doing from the beginning, right? From service to sales to finance, go through every piece of that, get your own leads, get your own follow up responses, and work through all of that stuff would be the first thing I would do.
That's good. All right. Well, this has been phenomenal, insightful. Every big word that I can think of that I could mess up with my word with my mouth saying it. I don't know why I'm saying all that, but I get excited because this is an intelligence conversation, right? But branding intelligence, experience intelligence, video intelligence, and before we get into these series of questions, is there anything that we did not showcase or anything that you wanted to mention before I fire off these questions for you?
No, I think we've touched most of it for sure.
All right. Well, some of them might get touched on some more. So this is called the intelligence gauntlet. So this is where I'm going to ask Cody a series of questions. He's got to answer these as quickly as possible, right off the top of his dome. Extremely uncomfortable, but fun at the same time. So let's get into it. Number one dealership website mistake that makes you cringe.
CTAs.
Like it. Oh, yeah. All right. What's one metric dealers should watch but often don't?
Engagement on site.
Ooh, I like that. I'm writing that one down. Creative or data? Which ones win? Creative or data?
I mean, I think it's a combination. I mean, I think data at the end of the day is a huge focus, right? I mean, we have to have the data to understand what we're doing, but creative is something I think is often put to the back burner that I think should be more on the front end. If you look at what dealerships are spending on a monthly basis to drive traffic into a website, and you look at a 1% conversion rate as an industry standard, and you say, okay, what else am I okay batting 1% at? You know, that
No,
storytelling, that's the huge piece for sure.
I like it. Most underrated part of a dealership's digital presence. Good one.
Most underrated dealership's presence, brand.
What's one dealership brand that's doing it right?
Toyota.
Nice.
Let's go.
Biggest misconception about video on the website?
Load speed.
Yeah, I was just about to say that load speed, and I would say another misconception is just fear. I would say, like, oh, nobody wants to watch that. 7, how fast should a site load on mobile?
Oh, I mean, it's a second, 2 seconds max, right? I mean, I think some of it is going to be dependent on the value we're delivering on the other side, right? But I think as fast as possible is the answer, right?
Yeah. AI, I love this question. AI in automotive, is that overhyped or underused?
I think both. I think we're overhyping it a lot of times, right? By saying it's the solution to all of our problems, right? But I think the reason why AI has a place is because we haven't done a lot of the work and the process the right way, which allows AI to do it better, right? If we answered every phone call and lead when it came in within 10 seconds and had a great conversation that was very personal with these people, I think we wouldn't need AI as much, right? You know, but from a profitability standpoint, it's much easier to put an AI bot at the front of it and handle that from the beginning because our people aren't always prepared for it. But when you look at it from how much we spend, like we said, 1% of people are converting right now. And then our first thing that we do is give them back to technology when they said, let's have a conversation, you know, kind of a mystery at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's kind of hearing you say that reminds me of BDCs. Back in the day, most BDCs were invented because car salespeople were not able to follow up the way that they wanted to. So they put them in service, they put them in sales to help with the follow up. Now we've got AI doing what? Because there's so much that the BDC or the sales team cannot handle. Now the AI is there, but it's like at some point we do need to go ahead and get after it. There's enough tools there. But you're right, it is a little bit of both because if a store is not ready and they don't have a playbook for when the AI goes in, it creates way more problems than it doesn't. So that's a whole nother show in itself. I like that. AI and automotive, overhyped or underused. All right, 2 more. If you could automate one part of the car buying journey, then what part would it be?
The car buying journey. I mean, I want to go back to incentives, right? Of just like, but that's not the purchasing, right? From a consumer standpoint is what we're looking at versus the dealership, right?
Yep, the whole journey. What part could be automated if it was going to be?
No, I mean, I think once you know what vehicle you're looking at, I think the digital retailing has a place, right? I think automating that process, if I already know, especially if this is somebody that you've already done business with 5 times, this should be a limited process. You already have all my details. Contact your salesperson, write up the deal, right? To me, that would be the one thing that would alleviate a lot of time, right? But I don't think for the first time doing business with you through that pathway makes sense. I think we need to build the value and educate them and help and assist them before they define that this is how they want to shop and do business.
I love it. I would add in on my side, because I love that question. These are great. is I would automate the lifestyle changes of the customer, right? So like, and I know we see that a lot of times with like the CDPs and whatnot, but customers' lives are changing, babies being born, new job, they change, and have that information updated automatically to let the team know, hey, this person had this experience, and maybe an AI agent helps with that. I think that could be good. All right. Last one. He got pounded with questions, y'all. Finish the sentence. The future of dealership marketing is.
Video.
There we go. Hey, video for victory.
Yeah,
It
I
kind of
100% wholeheartedly agree that it's customer experience. I think video is a huge part of that, but I think that's the future of where we're moving for sure. We have the data, right? You looked at what's all been built and emphasized within our space is all about clean data, understanding it, unifying it. But what do you miss there, right? You just end up a lot of times sending people the exact same communication, even though you know more about them because you don't have the creative to tell the story.
Yeah, man, that's so good. Well, Cody, thank you so much for sharing your time. I hope, I know, I don't even have to hope. I know this episode has been insightful for those that are looking for that edge. Because if you already are doing all this, there's another layer that we can get into. But for the most part, most dealerships, this is a huge opportunity is video, transparency with dealer incentives and pricing, CTAs, and so, if people want to connect with you, Cody, so they can have a deeper conversation on what this would look like for them in their store, how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn would be a great place.
All right.
LinkedIn or drop me an email, Cody@dealerincentives.com.
Yep. And we'll have it on the show as well. So it'll be in the notes, the description. So thank you all so much for sharing your time, your energy. And I'm telling you, link up with Cody. We've done some great things together with some stores and some groups. And hey, imagine just tapping into some multiple minds and just branding away. It's amazing what you can do. So link up with Cody, link up with his team, shoot him an email, do yourself a favor, and get to strategizing on how you can beat the marketplace and not be behind it. So Cody, thank you so much. Until next
Appreciate
time,
it.
appreciate you.
You as well. Be well, brother.